Hello everyone, you are welcome to our YouTube channel Knowledge Share. Our vision to start this channel is to help testing professionals who are preparing for interviews. Our videos will mostly be in a question answer format, which will help in understanding each topic of software testing and also answering the questions during interviews. We plan to cover testing concepts, test plan, test strategy, test management, defect classification guidelines, defect prevention guidelines, testing techniques, automation testing, performance testing, regression testing, SOA testing, test cases design and execution, test estimation, test process improvement, security testing concepts, SOA testing approach, test environment and data management, formation of testing center of excellence, test metrics, etc. Our today's topic is testing concept. In testing concept, we will cover testing goals, testing principles, reasons for testing, meaning for quality assurance and quality control, difference between SDLC and STLC, what is requirements and data flow diagram, and when to start a testing and stop a testing, etc. What is software testing? Software testing is a process used to identify the correctness, completeness, and the quality of software developed by the developers. The aim of software testing is to identify and fix the errors before it is released to production environment. Goals of software testing. The goals of a software tester is to find bugs, is to find them as early as possible and make sure they get fixed. Testing is a means to find bugs, provide confidence and information, and even prevent defects. The aim of software testing is to identify and fix the errors before it is released to production environment. Major reasons for software testing. Testing is done to detect the bugs that occur in the software developed due to the following reasons. 1. The software complexity. 2. The programming errors. 3. The changing requirements. 4. The time pressures. And 5. Poorly documented code. Next question is software testing principles. First principle. Testing shows presence of defect, not its absence. Testing can show that defects are present, but cannot prove that there are no defects. Testing reduces the probability of undiscovered defects remaining in the software, but even if no defects are found, it is not a proof of correctness. Second principle. Exhaustive testing is impossible. Testing everything, that is, all combinations of input and preconditions, is not feasible except for trivial cases. Instead of exhaustive testing, risk analysis and priorities should be used to focus testing efforts. Third principle. Early testing. Testing activities should start as early as possible and should be focused on different objectives. Fourth principle. Defect clustering. A small number of modules contain most of the defects discovered during pre-release testing or are responsible for the most operational failures. Fifth principle. Pesticide paradox. If the same tests are repeated over and over again, eventually the same set of test cases will no longer find any new defects. To overcome this pesticide paradox, the test cases need to be regularly reviewed and revised. Sixth principle. Testing is context dependent. Testing is done differently in different contexts. For example, missile software is tested differently from an e-commerce site. The seventh and last principle is absence of errors fallacy. Finding and fixing defects doesn't help if the system built is unusable and doesn't fulfill the user's needs and expectations. Question is, why a software needs to be tested? Testing is part of overall quality assurance. It covers the quality control aspects of ensuring quality. Testing not only identifies and reports defect, but also measures the quality of the product, which helps to decide whether to release the product or not. Software testing may be required for compliance with contractual or legal requirements. Question is the reason for errors in software. Programmers do make errors while programming. Changes in requirement during and after development leads to errors in software. Quickly written but poorly documented code is bound to have bugs. Due to improper estimation, developers forced to complete the code, which may not be tested properly at unit test level. Due to lack of domain knowledge and technical knowledge, developers might miss the end-user expected requirements. Communication gap between business team and development team leads to errors in software. And the last point is software complexity. Question is, what is quality? It means to matching up exact requirement with defect-free and user-friendly software developed within the planned estimation of both cost and schedule. Question is, what is quality assurance? Quality assurance is the set of activities that determine the procedures and standards to develop a product. Next question is, what is quality control? Quality control refers to the activities and techniques to verify that the developed product is in conformance with the requirements. Next question is the difference between quality control and quality assurance. First difference is by performing software testing, we can ensure prevention of bugs, whereas by performing quality assurance, we can ensure detection of bugs. Second difference is by performing software testing, we can ensure that the software will be verified as per the requirement document, whereas in quality assurance, we will review and inspect the documents and the processes that are followed correctly or not. Third difference is software testing is product oriented, whereas quality assurance is process oriented. Fourth difference is software testing focused more on corrections, whereas quality assurance works on the preventive approach. Fifth difference is software testing aims at controlling the quality, whereas quality assurance aims at ensuring the quality. Sixth and the last one is software testing processes are set by quality assurance and is implemented by testing team, whereas quality assurance tracks the test report and modify the test processes to meet the expectations. What is common to quality assurance and quality control? Both are under quality management and used to ensure that the business requirements are captured in the software with the quality standard set by the customer. The output of both the processes is to deliver a quality product. Our next question is, what is quality audit? It is to determine whether all the activities are going as per the plan in the project, that is, whether the goal and plans are strictly followed. It can be done both by the internal resources of the organization or by external resources. Next question is, what is SDLC? SDLC means Software Development Lifecycle. It is a software development process used by the development team in any organization. The below activities represents SDLC. 1. Project initiation. 2. Requirement gathering and documentation. 3. Designing. 4. Coding and unit testing. 5. Integration testing. 6. System testing. 7. User acceptance testing. And the last is support or maintenance. Next question is STLC. STLC means Software Testing Life Cycle. It is a set of processes defined to identify the testing activities throughout the testing life cycle. Next question is the steps involved in software testing life cycle. 1. Requirement analysis. 2. Test planning. 3. Test case designing and development. 4. Test environment setup. 5. Test execution. And 6. Test closure. Next question is when we can perform testing. Software testing can be performed from the requirement gathering phase and continue till deployment of the software. In this phase, we will analyze and verify that the shared requirements are understandable and complete in nature. It is better to fix the flaws in the early phase itself. By performing testing in this phase, it will help us to prevent defects in later phase of the development life cycle. Fixing defects in later phase cost higher and time consuming. Next question is, can we do system testing at any stage of SDLC? We can do system testing only when all the units are in place and working properly. It can only be done before user acceptance testing. Next question, at what point in an application development should we start testing? Testing processes will be started immediately when the requirements are gathered in a project. Test planning, test strategy, test scenario and test case creation will get started. Today, almost all the projects follow agile methodology, so the requirements are not fixed in the starting, but the user stories for the new features will be shared with the testers. Test planning and test case creation or test script creation will get started along with the development of the software. Many companies started to follow test-driven development approach to develop the software in which test cases are written prior to the code and the code is written in accordance to validate the test. Next question, when do we stop the testing? Actually, there is no end to stop the testing. However, for practical reasons, it is stopped after considering the risks involved and time and budget constraint. That is, when the time is less, then we test the necessary features and we stop it. Testing done within the limit of budget allocated by the client. Next, the stable application functionality leads to stop the testing. And for your information, testing should provide sufficient information to the stakeholders for decision making regarding release of the software for next development phase or handover to customer. Next question, how do you know the code has met specifications? When the software is bug free and meets the customer requirement. Most organizations having coding standards that all developers are supposed to follow. There are a lot of tools like traceability matrix which ensures the requirements are mapped to the test cases. When the execution of all test cases finishes with a success, it indicates that the code has met the requirement. Next question, how do you perform manual testing? Read and understand the software project documentation. Write the test cases that cover all the requirements mentioned in the documentation. Review and baseline the test cases with test lead, business analyst or client. Execute the test cases in the test environment. Report the bugs. Once the bugs are fixed, again execute the failed test cases to verify that they are passed. Next question, what is the difference between software testing and debugging? Software testing is the process of identifying the errors or bugs in a software, whereas debugging is the process of fixing the identified bugs. It involves a process of analyzing and rectifying the errors like syntax errors and logic errors identified during the process of testing. Next question, difference between bug and enhancement. Bug is an error in the software code which is found in the application during testing, whereas enhancement is the additional feature or functionality added to the application as desired by the end user or customer. Next question, difference between requirements and specifications. Requirements are statements given by the customer what they expect out of the software, that is, what they are going to achieve by the application. Later, these requirements are converted into specifications, whereas specifications ensure feasibility of requirement to be converted into software. It is the starting point for any development team. Next question, what is SRS and BRS document? SRS means Software Requirement Specification. It is a document act as an agreement between the company and the customer consisting of all functional and non-functional requirements. And BRS means Business Requirement Specification. It is the document described by the business people. The business team explains what are all the functionalities they expect in the software. Next question, define data flow diagram. Data flow diagram gives us information of the flow of data within the application. It is used to analyze the design of the application. It is a graphical representation of the structure of data. Testers use this document for critical data flow within the application. Next question, which review is normally used to evaluate a product to determine its suitability for intended use and to identify inconsistencies? Answer, technical review. Next question, what is test deliverables? Test deliverables are a set of documents, tools and other components that have to be developed and maintained in support of testing. Some of the test deliverables are test plan, test strategy, test scenario, test cases, defect list, metrics report, testability metrics and test report. Next question, what is a test case? A test case is nothing but a set of conditions or variables under which a tester will determine whether a system under test satisfies the requirements correctly or not. Each test case specifies input values, expected output and the preconditions for executing the test. Next question, difference between a standalone application, client-server application and web application. Standalone applications follow one-tier architecture. Presentation layer, business layer and database layer are in one system for a single user, whereas client-server applications follow two-tier architecture. Presentation layer and business layer are in a client system and database layer on another server. It works majorly in intranet, whereas web server applications follow three-tier or n-tier architecture. Presentation layer will be in the client system, business layer located in application server and database layer is in a database server. It works both in intranet and internet. Next question, what are the advantages of designing tests early in the life cycle? Designing tests early in the life cycle prevent defects from being in the main code. Next question, what do you mean by software build? When software is designed, there are multiple source code files and creating a program that is executable is a difficult task. To overcome this difficulty, you will go with the software build concept. A software build helps in generating executable programs. Next question, Difference between a test plan and a use case. Test plan is a document describing the scope, overview of the application, test strategy, schedule of testing activities, roles and responsibilities, deliverables and milestones, and risk and mitigation. Whereas use case describes the process how an end user uses a specific function in the application. It is a summary of user actions and system response to the user actions. It contains the flows like typical flow, alternate flow, and exceptional flow. It also contains a precondition and postcondition. Next question. What is Six Sigma? Six Sigma means 6 standard deviations from the mean. It is a methodology aimed to reduce defect levels below 3.4 defects per 1 million opportunities. Six Sigma approach improves the process performance, decreases variation, and maintains consistent quality of the process output. This leads to defect reduction and improvement in profit, product quality, and customer satisfaction. Question. Difference between project and product testing. If any organization is developing the application according to the client specification, then it is called as project. Hence, its testing is known as project testing. Whereas, if any organization is developing the application and marketing it, then it is called as product. Hence, its testing is known as product testing. Next question. The role of documentation in QA. Documentation plays a critical role in quality assurance. Quality assurance practices should be documented so that they are repeatable. Specifications, designs, business rules, inspection reports, configurations, code changes, test plans, test cases, bug reports, and user manuals should all be documented. Ideally, there should be a system for easily finding and obtaining of documents in any organization. Tools like CVS are available in the market. Next question. Who is responsible for unit testing and integration testing? Developers are responsible. It is quite difficult for a tester to do unit testing and integration testing as it involves in-depth understanding of the code. Only developers can perform both unit testing and integration testing. Next question. Why a developer should not test? Developer who develops the software can do testing but cannot be a good tester. Some of the reasons are misunderstanding of the requirement, lack of end user expectation and domain knowledge, paternal feeling. Developer who develops the code generally sees only happy parts. Testing needs great skill, while an occasional tester with no formal training in testing is no match to a trained professional whose sole activity is testing. Under a given time frame, usual tendency of developers is to allocate more time in improving the code or documentation rather than doing the testing of the code. This is the last question of this topic. We will connect in our next topic, test process. Thank you.